Lovely to see you. How are you?
Nice to see you. Cheers. Hello. Hi. Nice to see you. Nice and warm hands.
It was cold out there, wasn't it? Treacherous conditions. I was just saying to some of your press team that you've had 2 games out in the absolute awful rain, haven't you? But do you know what? There was an early scare, but you came through this one. How happy are you with how your team turned it around?
We started exactly how we didn't want to, giving them hope and momentum and an early goal. But then we managed to turn things around to start to be more dominant, to score from set pieces, and we made a difference there. And yeah, some positives to take and some other things that we have to be better as well.
What specifically are the positives that you'll take from today?
Well, the fact that we made 10 changes, for example, and when you do that, there are certain cohesion that is missing, certain players that obviously they haven't played the minutes, so the understanding, the level of rhythm that you need in the way that we play is not there. But then, yeah, having Kai back, for example, Marlin making his debut, Gary Martinelli scoring a hat-trick in an unusual way, that's all very positive.
Interesting that first half was a little bit scrappy. What did you say at half-time? I recognise this team always seems to come out, start the second half and really go up a gear. What did you say? You must have said something serious at half-time.
Yes, because we weren't at individually at a certain level, especially technically, to get out of the press. And at this level, you need to do those basics and those habits much better than we've done. We changed certain things in the structure to allow ourselves more time and better options. And when we started to do that, obviously, they suffer more.
Did your pre-match conversation, team talk, change because of any of the results yesterday, Macclesfield in particular?
Well, yes, but I mean, this is part of the history of this competition, and I have experience in myself as well, being in both sides when you come to these games. And I think there is a lot to play. One thing is being in the next round, but I think is your reputation as well, and the club's reputation, and that's a big one. And I think you have to play with that mindset when you play in these kind of grounds.
Biggest plus point tonight, what would you say? Havertz coming off the bench, he always seems to be favourite, always sees the game almost like a helicopter view of the match. It's brilliant to see.
I mean, the last few minutes I was just watching him move, and his awareness, yes, the way he needs to move, when he needs to move, in relation to what he moves, is just a way to watch. So we miss him big time. He's back with us, and now we need to maintain him fit because he's a very important player for us.
Yeah, how do you sort of keep every single player happy? I know that's a very standard question to ask a manager who has a big squad, but you have an exceptionally big squad. You're in 4 competitions, and everybody wants to play.
Because they know that they're all going to be important, and I think we are doing that with facts. So everybody has the chance to play, everybody's playing, everybody's involved, and we know that we're going to need everybody's contribution to achieve what we want.
Is it almost harder? So I'm looking at Lewis Skelly sometimes, and I'm thinking, is he as sharp as he needs to be? Because, you know, with the training that you're doing, because some you want to rest, some you don't want to overload. Is that hard? Is that to actually get the right level of workload for the players who don't play in the 11?
It is hard because sometimes certain players, as you said, need a bit more training. But we've done that, and then in the warm-up someone gets injured and needs to play 90 minutes, and then you say, why we did that the day before. And when you don't do that, that form and that sharpness and everything starts to go down. So it's a really thin line. We are trying to manage that in the best possible way, but
and every player needs something
perfect.
A little bit different, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you a quick question about Martinelli, Gabriel? He had a very difficult week, didn't he? A lot of commentary about him because of the injury to Conor Bradley after the Liverpool game. How pleased are you with how he responded in every way, not just on the pitch but off it as well?
Well, I must say, I think the way Anslot spoke after the game, I think it was brilliant, because he knows how the players feel about themselves, about the opposition, about the colleagues. And I think that exemplifies is somebody that knows the game really well and is in the opposition to make them understand, everybody, how you feel about them and why you react in a certain way. And there is not intention whatsoever to damage a player or not to respect a player.
Yeah. Busy schedule, Mikel. Lots of away games as well coming up, all consecutively
as well.
In a few
days, so
exactly.
Let's get back home and we're there to prepare that tomorrow.
We'll let you warm up because it's been one of those days, hasn't it? We've got a long trip back as well up to North London. Thank you so much for joining us, Mikel. Well done.
Nice to see you.
Good luck.
Take care. Bye.
Yep,
Thank you so much. Ciao. Yeah, lots of positives to take for Mikel Arteta, you'd say, wouldn't you, Jamo? I mean, when you look at the job that he's done, I mean, his first season here, Fratton Park, round 5, they played Portsmouth. got through to the next round, and then they won the FA Cup in his first season in charge. It's been a long time coming, isn't it, to get that second one under their belt. A lot of transformations, but here's a manager who's been able to have the trust of the board and to put a plan in motion, which a lot of managers, it's time that a lot of managers aren't afforded.
Yeah, well, he hasn't won anything since, so until he wins something, then that will come to fruition. But I said this before the game, one thing I've noticed this season more than any of the other seasons he's been in charge of Arsenal is his temperament. When Arsenal are winning like now, he's level. I think in the past there's been the over-elation or over-criticism at times. He just looks very level. And I think if your manager's level, the changing room's level, and you're not going to get these peaks and troughs in performances. So, unfortunately for anyone who doesn't support Arsenal this season, this is going to be a tough nut to crack. So he's looking good, and his team are looking very good.
He's absolutely leading from the front,
absolutely.
isn't he? Well, I'll tell you someone else who's leading from the front. It's John Mousinho. Talking about managers in charge for a long time as well. I think this was his 150th game. Do you know what? They had a scare at the start, but in the end, you've just got to see that the quality of this Arsenal side completely shone through. As expected, we have seen scares this weekend, but Arsenal got the job done, and in the end, it was pretty emphatic, wasn't it?
It was, but this grand old competition, the FA Cup, it keeps bringing up surprises. So that was a bit nervy from an Arsenal point of view in those opening exchanges, but they got back and then showed a little bit of class. Credit, though, to Portsmouth. Thought they pressed really well in those opening exchanges, made it difficult, got the goal that maybe they deserved, and then Arsenal came back through their set pieces.
Yeah, and I've got to say, when that first Pompey goal went in after 3 minutes, we'll look at it in a second, but when it went in, the first thing you said, Jamer, was, oh, God, they've scored too early.
Yeah. One of my favourite stats is scoring in the first few minutes. First team scoring in the first few minutes is a 30% chance of winning the game. It was early. It was great press, as you said.
Very weak against set pieces. What's the mentality at that particular point? Are you nervous? Are you anticipating that something could go wrong?
The difficult.
Well, I wasn't in that situation. I was lucky to be surrounded by giants: Patrick Vieira, Tony Adams, Steve Bold, Sol Campbell. You've got to look. We did a zonal system, but we marked in our zone. And we certainly weren't naive and had leaving that near post exposed. You've got to have a player in there of some size, and they weren't doing that today, Portsmouth. They were just lined up to be taken on.
Yeah, I think the difficulty is that as a player, you can approach a manager or a coach and say, can we do something else? I was fortunate enough to be able to dictate what happened in my box. So I'd like to come across it. So in the end, I could sort of take some ownership for that. This Portsmouth setup, when I was looking through all the goals they've conceded this season, that was my biggest concern, that Arsenal being so good at corners were going to cause problems.
I think it's 19 now, is it, they've conceded from set pieces?
It's a lot.
But surely that's something you would then have to look at specifically on the training ground, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, quite often it happens, and I mean, Portsmouth might have the argument that they've had a lot of injuries and therefore that personnel changes. But like Arsenal, with 10 changes today, their corners haven't changed on the offensive side of things, and they had probably more success than they've had in, I can't even think last time they would have scored 3 goals from set plays in one match. But it's something, hopefully in a positive way, that they will learn from today to actually address that, because Portsmouth now have to focus on surviving in the Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the priority for them. But for Arsenal, I mean, they have various priorities and various players to choose from when it comes to being on the offence, and Gabriel Martinelli got the goal in the first half, I should say. 25 minutes this one.
What happened, but he's come away from this week with a match ball, and I think
it was a good message from him. I think it's really good in terms of his confidence, because he's been coming off the bench. I think that's 10 goal involvements now, so he's pushing his numbers, and Arsenal need that if they're going to be successful.
Yeah, and as we were talking about pre-match, you know, you're looking for that solid front man to be the reliable one. They have plenty of options. They've got Gyökeres, they've got Gabriel Jesus, they have Gabriel Martinelli as well, and Kai Havertz. And it's so important to have him back in the fold as well, isn't it?
Without doubt. And I was watching him really very closely. He seems to be always favourite for every ball that comes into him. It's really effortless. He's a really good addition to the group. You need him back. He was only available for the Manchester United game, the first match of the season. He's had 2 operations in quick succession, so it's really good news. Jesus as well. You know, so Gyökeres under a bit of pressure, but that's what the manager needs if he's going to be winning trophies.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of the manager, here he is, Mikel